Good morning, fibery friends. Welcome to another episode of the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. This is my little corner of the YouTube where I document and share my fibery adventures with you all. That could be knitting, crocheting, weaving, yarn dyeing, or any other crafty rabbit hole I go down. So if this sounds like something that is of interest to you, please make sure you have something to drink during this episode. And let's stay hydrated. I have my morning coffee and I have my thermos of water. Get something to keep those crafty magic hands of yours busy, and let's get started. So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon or good evening, depending upon what time you are watching this episode. Today is March 1st, and again, my name is Dorothy. If you would like to find me out on the interwebs, you can find me on Instagram or Ravelry, and I will post where you can find me here. I will also have links down in this. I don't know why that trips me up every time. I will have links down in the description box below of where you can find me. I also have a link to my Ko-Fi account if you would like to leave a little tip. That is just to help me cover the cost of shipping out prizes. Today is a regular fibery podcast where I will catch you up to date on the projects that I have finished lately. I have a few FOs that I will be sharing, one acquisition, and some life updates. So, I guess before I get started, I would like to address the elephant in the room. I am devastated by what our president and country has done in the last 24 hours. I don't even know where to begin. I'm appalled that they bombed a all-girl school that had absolutely nothing to do with whatever politics they were trying to prove, and was purely for the destruction of future generations, in my opinion. I wasn't even sure I was going to record today because of that, but I figured we all need a little something to escape from every now and then. And I did make a commitment to myself to have a podcast out every 2 weeks, and so far that has been going well for me this year, and I would like to continue in that mode, but I felt that I would be remiss to make it seem like everything was happy-go-lucky when there is devastation going on in the world, in our country, and purely because of somebody's ego and their attempt to, I don't know what better way to put it than to say, hey, don't look over here, look over here. So I hope you have it in your hearts today to take a moment, send a prayer to whatever deity or spiritual guidance you have to those victims, and especially to the families of all the girls that were in that school. It was completely needless. And in my opinion, just purely malice. Okay. So, getting back to the podcast. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I truly enjoy and appreciate that you come and spend time with me whenever I post. And if you are a new viewer, I hope you enjoy the content. I hope that you will return. Please, if you would, go ahead and hit that like button while you're at it. Hit that subscribe button. That one, yep, that one right there. And ring that bell so that you get notified for any future episodes that I put out. So let's move on to the fun stuff. So the last couple of weeks, I have been very busy knitting, crocheting, working on projects. I had a lovely, lovely weekend away since the last time I recorded an episode. It was Valentine's Day weekend, or what we single women like to call Galentine's Day weekend. And for the last several years, probably 10 or 15 years now, me and a bunch of my girlfriends have rented a house up in the mountains of Maryland and go away for the long weekend and just relax. Have a weekend full of laughs, full of crafting, and just get away from life in general. And during that weekend, I was able to get a lot of things. Not necessarily finished, but I got to make some major work. I got to complete. What am I trying to say? I managed to craft a whole lot that weekend. So first up, let's talk about what I am wearing. I have finally finished the Ghost Whisperer, and this is a pattern by Park Williams. It is a $9 pattern on Ravelry. I started mine back in July of 2022, and I completed it on February 14th of this year. So, I'll stand up and you could see that it reaches just below my waist. My waist is actually right here. And so it comes at about hip level. I didn't do anything to the bottom where I think I showed it last time, I had overstretched it and broke a thread. But I did do the I-cord bind off around the collar, and I also did the I-cord bind off on the edgings. Let's just cover up those little bat wings that I have. And I actually like it very much. I'm very pleased that I went ahead and finished it. So this is my first official mohair sweater, or top, I guess I would really call it. I used, what did I use? I used Drops Kid Silk in their pure black. I believe I used 3 or 4 skeins of it. I can't remember. I'll have to look back through my project bag. But let me see. Oh, and I last shared it with you during my Finish It or Frog It episode. I had the main body done, the collar was not on, and the sleeves were not done. I wasn't sure if I was going to finish it when I did that episode, but I took it along with me on our Galentine's Day weekend, and it just took me one full day to finish off the sleeves and do the I-cord edging, and I'm thoroughly pleased with how it has come out. So I have one official mohair sweater. We will see how much wear I get out of it. I know that we are coming to a close on the winter season, or hopefully coming to a close on the winter season here in Maryland. So far, and it might be because the mohair is not right up on my neck, it is not oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. I'm trying to be better with that this week. So far, the mohair is not irritating me. It's, I was a little worried about how I would react, I should say, with it against my décolletage or my neck, because I know in the past I've had issues with some mohair sweaters, but I think it was more because they were that acrylic-y mohair and not true mohair. So we shall see. But on the whole, I'm very pleased with the way it came out. I'm super happy that I finished it, and I have another sweater to add to my very minimal sweater pile in my collection. I have not, how do I want to say this? I have not knit myself very many garments in all my years of knitting because I thought it was too much money to make a garment for myself because of my size. And well, unfortunately, through years of not looking at things in the proper light, I guess that's the best way to say it, is I would spend the same amount of money that I would have spent on yarn, whether I had bought one sweater's quantity worth of whatever size I was at the time, versus the same number of skeins to make multiple projects. Somehow that just didn't compute in my head. But I am on a very much, as you have seen from my last episode and from what I've casted on for this year, I am in a sweater making mode right now. So moving on, I want to share that I have finally finished my Frankenblanket. Now, the Frankenblanket is a linen crochet blanket. I did not follow any pattern for this. I started this back on January 28th of 2022. And my starting chain was 270 stitches. And this blanket is fingering weight held double. And when I started this blanket, I was actually doing, I was holding two skeins of fingering weight together, but I would change one of those colors every other row, so that no single row were the same two colors in this whole blanket. And I just am in love with how this turned out. The way the colors just sort of marl and not muddle, the way they just sort of marl and sink together as it goes down. This is a labor of love, in my opinion. I did do a beautiful edging on this blanket. You could see that I did a row of dark grays, and then I did a row of light gray, and then I did a row with charcoal and the light gray, and then I finally finished it off with two fingering weights of black. And I did the same single crochet, I did the same single crochet linen stitch around the edging that I did within the blanket. So I have not weighed this blanket. I do not know what my grams out are for this piece, but I'm sure it's a lot. So I'm super excited. I'm happy it is finished. That is one more blanket that I can add to my beautiful collection of blankets. And I don't know what else to say to it, except that I'm almost a little sad that this blanket is finished. But I do have 1, 2, 4. I believe I have 4 other scrappy blankets in process. So, but I may wind up making this one again. I think it's probably going to be in the future. If I ever make this again, it'll probably be baby sized. And since I do have a baby on the way in the family, I can't wait to get another one started. So, if there is anything else you would like to know about this blanket that I have not covered, please put a comment in the post a comment below, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. This was a true labor of love. I love the way the colors came out in this, and I'm just so happy. So that is one finished object. Then I will move on. I'm going to share this one. I don't recall sharing it in the past, but I found it in one of the project bags that I was going through in my last episode because I thought it was not finished, but indeed it was. And now I'm probably not going to remember. Yes, there it is. So this is the Buzz Scarf by Sweater Freak. It is a $7 pattern on Ravelry. I used Avalon Springs Farm Pendragon Sport Weight. The colorway is From the Ancients. It's a beautiful, beautiful purple colorway. The stitching in this, if you could see, is just lovely. I think this would look gorgeous if you had a multicolored yarn that you didn't know what to do with. I think this would be perfect in whatever weight you chose. I think if you did a worsted or a DK, I think in a DK you might be able to make a full scarf out of one skein. In worsted you might need 2. But this was a sport weight. I did not use the whole skein. I believe I have approximately half a skein left. And I thoroughly enjoy it. You could see that there's one, you increase on one side, and then you pretty much go even for the length that you want, and then you decrease back down. It's a beautiful scarf that you can wear around your neck. Hopefully I'm not interfering with the microphone too much. I tend to like to wear some of my scarves like this under a coat. The coat just buttons up nicely. Your neck is nice and warm. Of course, you could also wear it as a little neckerchief. So many ways to wear these little scarves. I find them so enjoyable to knit. They make great gifts. And there you have it. This would be a lovely starter pattern for someone. If you are relatively new to knitting, I think this would be an easy pattern to follow. I found the pattern was very well written. The instructions were clear and concise. And let me see. I don't think this one took me very long either. I hate that my iPad cuts off so easily. So I started this one on April 16th of last year, and I finished it on June 6th. So not a very long pattern at all. My next finished object is my Grinning Ghost by Susan Claudino. It is a $6 pattern on Ravelry. Is that not the cutest? That's probably going to go to one of my nieces. For mine, I use the Lion Brand DIY Glow in the Dark yarn. I misread the pattern when I started, and I wound up, this is a DK or worsted weight yarn. And I didn't realize that I should have gone up to a size 5 in needles, and I knit mine with 3. I was playing yarn chicken, so the top of the ghost is not exactly to pattern. I had to do some quick decreases and some minor modifications in order to complete it with one skein of yarn. These are, I believe, 25 millimeter eyes that I used, and I just think he is adorable. I will say it was an easy pattern to follow. It was very difficult on my hands because I was using the wrong size needle. This yarn is not very stretchy, so even though I have knit thicker yarns on smaller needles, there was more give, probably because it was wool and this is acrylic, but I would definitely make this guy again. Next up, I have finished 2 pairs of slippers for my family for Christmas. For those of you that have been following me, you know that during the 12 cast-ons for 2026, one of my cast-ons for the year was to make slippers for my family. So I was in the process of casting on several different pairs of slippers. These are the Simple House Slippers by Simone Alexandra. And the pattern costs $3.47 on Ravelry. So far, I have completed 2 pairs. Both were knit with Lion Brand Heartland yarn. So here is the first pair that I've completed. This was made with the, I think it was gold. It was the gold colorway. I can't remember the actual name of the colorway now. But this is a super, super easy pattern to follow. I highly recommend it, especially if you are a beginning knitter. You will learn how to do garter, you will learn how to do stockinette, and you will learn how to do decreases and join in the round. So when I was done, I added these little pom-poms at the end. These are the perfect size for my youngest niece. So she is going to get these. And then the second pair I made, I used the blue colorway from Heartland. I made these in a size, oh gosh, I can't remember how the sizing is in the pattern, but they were probably the women's large, because my niece has a size 10, as do I, as does her mother. So I was able to make sure these fit, and they came out adorable. I love the little pom-poms. They feel comfortable. And I think she will get great use out of them. This niece in particular, will be heading off to college in August. She graduates in June, so she'll be heading off to college. So I probably will be making her a couple of more pairs so that she'll be able to walk around the dorms in comfort. So that is 2 of 9 pairs of slippers that I need to make before Christmas. I am constantly searching Ravelry. I'm finding so many slippers. It's just such a fun, quick knit, and they can be gifts, and it's just lovely. So next up is a self-drafted project bag that I crocheted myself. And here we have it. I got the idea to make this because I came across these purse bottoms on Amazon, and they have pre-established holes all around the base. And I have seen people crochet bags with them, and most of the time they were using either like a raffia style, I guess yarn, I'm not even sure because I always think of raffia as paper, but I used a DK weight minis that I got from an advent from last year. It was from Pocket and Posy, I think. I will link to her Etsy shop. And I wound up using 7 mini skeins, 7 20-gram mini skeins in DK. And I did the crochet linen stitch again. I did, let me see, I started the bottom with what looks like 2 crochet stitches in every hole. And then around the corners, I did 3 to give it a little bit more room to get around. And then I just did single crochet all the way up. And then to make the drawstring, I did, what did I do here? In US terms, I did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So I made the spaces, and then I crocheted a, I don't know, maybe a 12-inch chain on each side so that I could pull and it will cinch shut. And then I happened to come across one of Tony Lipsy's podcasts where she actually crocheted a project bag, except she crocheted the bottom as well, and she used plastic canvas to reinforce the bottom. But I really liked the stitch that she used for the handle. I think she called it the herringbone crochet stitch, but it makes a super strong crochet handle, and so that's what I did. I will link to the tutorial that I followed to make the handle. Super easy. Really enjoyed making this. Looking forward to using this as a project bag. The bottoms that I purchased came in a kit, so I have a few more bottoms in different sizes that I might try and do the same thing with. I may pull out some of my cotton yarn and see if cotton would be better to use for these bags, but in the meantime, I am super pleased with how this came out, and I can't wait to use it. I have several other project bag patterns I have not tried casting on yet, so you may see some more project bags in my future as well. Who knows? And that is all I have for FOs. So now we will move on to whips. And I have made a lot of progress on several different whips. So first up, I'm going to I'm going to talk about my Big Love cardigan. This has been on the needles for quite a while. This is in my Black Pearl Magic bag. I absolutely love that bag. And this is a pattern by Onyx Strick. It calls for a bulky weight yarn. And I have been using something that has been in my stash for quite a while. And it is the Queensland Collection Erg White Chunky. I had 20 skeins of this, which should have been plenty for this pattern, but I have run out of yarn. So Big Love is a $7.27 pattern on Ravelry. And I would say this is, if you are an adventurous beginning knitter, this would be a pattern that you might enjoy. The reason why I say adventurous is because it is not a normal construction. You actually start at the collar up here and knit out, and then you wind up picking up to do the rest. No, here it is. So here we have it. Oh, let me move into frame better. I would put it on for you, but I had to stop in the middle of the row because I lost it Yarn Chicken. Now, I had found someone on Ravelry who had some of this yarn, and she was willing to send it to me, except she wound up having a family emergency, and by the time she got back, she could no longer find, excuse me, she could no longer find where she put the yarn. Story of my life. So she looked around. She's like, I know I had it before I left, but now I can't find it. And she said that, you know, if she comes across it, she'll let me know. I have not heard from her. So I went onto the website called Yarn Sub, and I put in this yarn, and it gave me substitutes, yarn substitutes that would be close to the, it would be the same weight, but it would be close to the base, the drape, the twist, the tightness. And so I had to order a few skeins of yarn. Now, Queensland Collection is this one, I should say. I shouldn't say all of them, but the Uruguay Chunky is a mix of 70% merino, 20% alpaca, and 10% silk. The two best suggestions from Yarn Sub were unfortunately 100% merinos. So I ordered a couple of skeins of each to see which would work out best. I'm hoping that at least the colors will match or match closely, because I went ahead and I finished the sleeves. So at least that I knew that I would have the sleeves looking in the same color, and I will just be adding to the bottom of the sweater. I will probably need maybe another inch or two, and then the ribbing. I will try this on. Maybe I will put that little portion on some try-on tubing, and I will put a picture up here for you so you could see what it looks like on. But the stitch pattern of this particular sweater is just, let me see if you could see it here. I think the stitch pattern is just beautiful. There, can you see it? There you go. The light shows it a little better this way. This was a fun knit. This is going to be a very, very heavy and warm sweater, but I can't wait to have it finished. It's been on my needles for 2 years now, and I'm looking forward to having this finished. I was hoping to have it finished by the time I came home for my Valentine's Day weekend, but unfortunately, I could not make it work. I did have to, I can't remember if I shared it in the last video or not. I did have to rip back the sleeves because originally I had not done any decreases until I got to the elbows, but the sleeves wound up being too big and I was running out of yarn much faster than I wanted to. So I had ripped the sleeves back and did about an inch before I started the decreases, and that worked out so much better. So I'm very pleased with how the sleeves came out. I will take a picture and insert it here so that you guys can see how it looks so far. And unfortunately, the yarn that I purchased, I could only find from, now I can't even remember what country it's coming from. I think the website was Lindy Hobby. So it was a European site. Hopefully it will get here sometime this week. I will probably post something on Instagram when it comes in. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might be able to see which one I wind up using. But hopefully if the yarn comes in this week, I will have this finished by the next episode. Keep your fingers crossed for me, will ya? Don't you just, I was so aggravated. I thought for sure I had enough yarn, but obviously when you make some modifications, this is the risk you take. And I knew at the time that I had just enough yarn for what this pattern called for. Unfortunately, this pattern is an older pattern. It is not size inclusive. It only goes up to a extra large or a 2X, and I'm knitting the largest size. So I did it to myself, but I have wanted this sweater for quite some time. I am pleased that I made it. I'm happy that I found a substitute yarn. I will be happier if the blacks at least match, because we know we always run that risk of colors not matching, not to mention that it's not even the same brand of yarn. So we will see. Have you guys ever played Yarn Chicken and lost with a sweater? What did you do? Did you rip that? I was going to cry. I was going to cry if I had to rip that sweater back because I really, really wanted it. I probably, as a matter of fact, I have that same yarn in my stash in a navy blue. I probably would have finished it as in the navy blue and just left it as a house sweater. But who knows, that may still happen if that black doesn't match. But anyway, let's move on. I have my Lowrider Cardigan, and it is in this beautiful chip basket. This was his Prince Special Edition, and it is the size large. And this cardigan is a crocheted cardigan, and I have made significant amount of progress on this. This one I can try on for you guys. Oops, I didn't realize I was still attached. So you could see the sleeve comes down just enough. Don't mind the bat wings. And I am just about at my waist area. And then there is 4 inches of the crocheted granny squares that get attached. And here they are. So this will get attached here. And then I think there's a 2-inch ribbing. So I might be ready to finish the granny squares to finish up this cardigan. So I do not have a picture of the pattern, but let me pull it up here. By the way, I am not very versed in my iPad, but if there is some setting that you know of that I could turn off when I'm doing my podcast so that it doesn't continue to close out on me, please let me know, because I couldn't find it. I don't know how to do it. I'm not very versed in the iPads because I don't have an iPhone. Where is this pattern? I know I have it. Lowrider Cardigan. Okay, so the Lowrider Cardigan is by Iron Lamb, and it's a $6.50 pattern on Ravelry. And you can see from this picture here that I am pretty much right there. So I guess there is no edging, or there is no bottom ribbing for this. So I might do a few more rows to get it to my waistline, which is right there. And then I'll add the granny square so that it'll hit my hip area. And then I will continue, I will continue on and add the sleeves. I should have, yes, I have plenty of yarn left to finish this pattern. The yarn that I am using, the main yarn that I'm using is Sublime Extra Fine Merino. And then the colorful yarns that I'm using in the granny squares is Sublime Cashmerino, which is a baby cashmerino and silk. Both are a DK base. And I'm crocheting the squares up in different colors. I mean, I'm using the same colors, but in different order. I thought that would be sort of neat and make it a little bit more unique. I was also playing around with possibly doing color stripes on the sleeves, but I haven't determined if I'm going to do that or not. But this yarn feels lovely. It's a nice soft merino. I don't know if this is a discontinued base or not. I haven't checked. Let me see. Yep, it is a discontinued base. So this is a deep, deep stash that I'm getting rid of. So I'm super pleased about that. This will be, I believe at some point I had said this would be my first crocheted garment, but it is in fact not, because I did make a hexie cardi for myself. But this is a first top-down raglan style crocheted cardigan I'm making for myself, and I'm very pleased. It is a fairly easy pattern to follow. If you are a beginning crocheter, I think that is definitely something that you would be able to follow. Iron Lamb has several videos that she incorporates into her pattern that you could watch, how to do the stitches, how to measure your gauge for a crocheted project. She has a tutorial I believe she has a tutorial for the edging of this as well. That's the one thing I have not decided on. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a crocheted edging. So there is, okay. So there is a little bit of a crocheted edging down here. I don't know why it didn't really come up in the other. Okay, I guess it is sort of there. You just don't, it's not as prominent. But I haven't decided if I'm going to do the collar in the crochet pattern or if I'm going to pick up and knit the collar. Because I kind of like the idea of crochet meets knitting or knitting meets crochet, however you want to look at it, but mixing the two fiber techniques together. So I may do a little test with that, and I might put a poll up on Instagram to see what you folks like better, whether you like the knit or the crochet better. But again, I did find the pattern very easy to follow. There are a few other patterns of hers that I am thinking of purchasing in the future, but I want to try and meet my goal of using 12 patterns from my library before I buy any new patterns this year. I have purchased so many patterns over the years, and I have knit very few of them. So one of my goals for 2026 was to at least use 12 patterns that I have already purchased this year. And so far, I think I've used 8. I'll have to check my notebook next time I look at it. But let's move on to another project. This was I don't want to say a flop, but it's going to be frogged, sadly. It will be reknit, but it's going to be frogged. And this is my cabin slipper. It's by Isolde Teague. It is a $8.44 pattern on Ravelry. I am using Neighborhood Fiber Studio Worsted in the Old Town East colorway, which is a beautiful, beautiful teal colorway. This is a brioche stitched slipper, and this is the cuff. So this would have gone on my ankle, but somehow this is all accurate up to here, because I was just, doing brioche stitch in the round. Unfortunately, somewhere in here, and I don't know where or how, I got off pattern because now I have too many stitches. And I don't know how I did it. So this will be ripped back. And at first, I was going to rip back just to where the cuff started, right before I started the increases, because I had cast on the right amount of stitches. I had the right amount of stitches going all the way down the collar, all the way down the cuff. But somewhere in here, in this increase pattern here, or this increase section, I should say, I goofed, and somehow I have too many stitches. But the brioche and this particular yarn, see, like, it's nice and tight up here, but down here it got much more loosey-goosey. So I don't know if I want to attempt going maybe down a needle size and trying again. So this, unfortunately, is not I cannot speak this morning. This has not been a success. This is going to be frogged and restarted, sadly. But we live and learn, right? So next up is actually a hoe. This is the Woodland Loafer Super. It is a $7.04 pattern. $7.04 on Ravelry is the cost of the pattern. The designer is Claire Slade, and I am using Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and this was very difficult on my hands. So this one slipper took me quite a while to make, but I love it. I will knit the other one. It will probably take me just as long, and then I probably will not knit another pair using Wool Ease Thick and Quick. It just was not stretchy. Looks so cute. I think I made the loop a little bit too long, but whatever. This was an enjoyable pattern to follow. I did buy all the slipper patterns in this collection. So she has the Woodland Loafer Super. She has the regular Woodland Loafer that uses a bulky weight yarn that I'm also making. And then she has one that comes up and does a little cuff style, which, no, I have not started yet. You'll probably see them in the next episode. But it's a very easy pattern to follow. I do recommend this if you are a beginning knitter. You start at the heel of the slipper and you make the whole sole, and then you pick up around, and then you do some short row shaping up at the top and at the back, and then you knit the top, and it is a quick knit. This, like I said, when I made the other one that I shared in my last episode, I think I made it in an evening. So this one, I think if I use a different yarn, I may be able to do in an evening as well, but something about the acrylic, it was just a little too stiff and difficult to maneuver. They also suggested using a 16-inch circular, which I found a little confining, so I would probably do this. The second one, I will probably do magic loop with probably a 40-inch cord to make it a little bit easier on my hands. But I think the garter stitch bottom makes the bottom very squishy and gives it a little bit of cushion. I'm even considering getting some leather to put on the bottom, because these pair are probably going to go to my sister, since they fit my foot, so they'll fit her foot, and her house is mainly wood floors, and I wouldn't want her to slip and hurt herself. So I know they used to have like 2-part slipper bottoms. I have not been able to find them. If you know of any store or any online store that still sells the soles in 2 parts, let me know, please, in the comments, because the only thing I've been able to find are like a 12-inch square of leather that I would have to cut myself and so on. And I believe the slipper bottoms that I'm thinking of have pre-drilled holes, so it would be easier to sew them on. But anyhow, for a size 10, this looks so small and cute right now on the screen. It makes me think I have a smaller foot than I do. Okay, I have just a few more whips to share with you. I finished the baby vertebrae, but unfortunately I have not woven in all the ends and blocked it, so I will share that on the next episode. So next up, I have another pair of slippers to share. These are the Farm Slippers. They are a Andrea Mowry pattern. It is a $7 pattern on Ravelry. I am using, what is James C. Brett Marled Chunky. That's what this yarn is. I have 2 other skeins of this, so this may wind up being what I use for the rest of the family. I have one finished. This is going to be for one of my nieces. And the cuff folds down like this. And there you have the very, very cute slipper. This was a very easy pattern to follow. I have had this pattern in my library for I cannot tell you how long, probably since it's been out. I just thought they were the cutest slippers, but I never made them. So this year I pulled out all the slipper patterns that I've purchased so far, and I'm just going through them one at a time. So this is going to be for one of my nieces, probably the one that is currently pregnant. Shh, we won't tell her. Hopefully she doesn't watch this episode. And I have one done, and I am almost done with the second one. You can see right here is where I have the forethought, afterthought heel put in. I'm getting ready to decrease for the toes. I'm matching it up. I think I'm ready. Nope, not yet. So I have a few more rows before I can start decreasing for the toes. But this yarn is very nice. It does have a bit of a fuzz to it. So I think these are going to be very nice and warm for her. Once again, her house also is wood and laminate flooring on the first floor. She has all carpeting upstairs, and I believe she has carpeting on the basement level, but I can't remember. So again, I'm thinking I may either put leather at the bottom of these, or I might try that slipper paint that I have seen some other podcasters talk about. So this will be hopefully a finished object next time as well. Along those lines, I have a second pair in the same pattern that I'm probably keeping for myself. I know, this was not what I was supposed to do. These were all supposed to be gifts, but I really like how these are coming out. So I used, for this one, I used 3 different sock yarns. I held them together and marled them. And this is all that I have left. So this is Woodland Studios, and I don't remember this colorway, but I'll just call it the Commander's colorway because it's that burgundy and gold. This is another Woodland Studio base that is a very, very dark green, and I still have the tag in here. So it's called Green Tambourine. Sheila, who is the dyer, or was the dyer behind Woodland Studio Yarns, named all of her colors after songs, and unfortunately she has passed away. And this was a yarn in my stash that I won from the Black Knitter. I could not find the tag for it. I do not remember the name of the yarn. I know it was, I'm pretty positive it was an indie black dyer. And I know I've purchased from her before, but I can't remember her name. There was some sort of controversy that happened with her business that I don't know anything. I know something about it, but not enough to speak on it. So if you know, you know. If you don't need to worry about it. But anywho, I have finished both, and I just need to add the heels to both. Now, I'm hoping, because I don't know why there is so little left of this one color, considering these are the same yarns and I definitely have more of the green left than I do of this colorway, if there's going to be enough to do the heels. So I was debating on possibly using a different color to do the heels, maybe holding 3 skeins of black, or maybe 2 skeins of black and the green together. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I attempt it, and if I run out, I run out? Or should I possibly think of, or should I just go for the solid heel on this one? I just can't, I cannot get over how colors like you would not stripe together can marl into some of the prettiest colors. I just love it. And that's why I'm thinking of keeping these for myself, because I don't want to give them up. Next up is my Little Boat 88 bag, my cute little witch bag. I sewed the handles on myself. And in here is my Jaunty. Here is the skein that I spun up myself. I used my Hedgehog Fibers 2024 Advent. And Jaunty is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is a $8 pattern. I am using my signature needles, 3.75 millimeters, so that's a US 5. I have my little cute mushroom point protectors because I like my signatures, all my signatures have stiletto tips, and I like to keep them nice and pointy. And here is my Jaunty. So we start here, and this is in Half Fisherman's Rib. I just love how this started out like fading together. And then you could see all the different colors that she had. This is where I must have left off from the last time I shared this with you guys. So actually, let me move that up. And I believe that's also marking the right side of my work. So it just amazes me that the colors have changed. There's such drastic color changes in this, considering this is a 3-ply yarn, and it was spun up. Each ply was spun up very differently. And what I mean by differently is the Advent was 24 20 grams of fiber, and one bobbin was spun up with days 1, going in order from 1 to 24. And then the second bobbin was spun up going from day 24 to 1. And then the third bobbin I had mixed up because some of the bases spun up a little bit thicker than others, especially if they had sari silk in them, because I'm not very good at spinning sari silk yet. That's the bane of my existence when it comes to spinning. And I think I just need to accept that when I have sari silk in there, that it's just going to be a slubbier yarn, or more of a thick and thin style yarn when I get to those sari silk pieces. So I kind of thought that because I had spun each of the bobbins differently, it would be more of a marled and there wouldn't be such harsh color changes. I was really expecting it more to be like this, where the color changes were very gradual. But I guess because some bases were darker than others. But whatever, I love it. It all seems to be going cohesively. It doesn't really bother me. I love certain sections. I don't think I'm at the halfway mark yet. I know I weighed my skein before I started because that's what the pattern suggested, and I am using what is Knit Pro Companion. Oof, brain fart. I'm using Knit Pro Companion for all of my patterns, and so I know I put the starting weight of the yarn and I put down what my skein should weigh when I hit the, I think it's the 45% mark is when you're supposed to start doing the decreases. So I have a few more increases to do before I start decreasing. This is done in half fisherman's rib. I love the squish of it. I'm actually I'm considering changing a cardigan pattern that I have started. There's a collar on it that's supposed to be full fisherman's rib that I'm actually thinking I may just switch to a half fisherman's rib because it would probably be easier and faster. And I really want that cardigan off the needles as well. But anywho, I know Andrea Mowry is currently running a Jaunty along. I think it runs until the end of March, maybe, or maybe she went until June. I can't fully remember, but it was a spin and knit along. So my spinning was done before she started that spin along, but my knitting is being done while the make along is going. So that's one more project. And then my last whip currently is my Lento. And I am having so much fun with this. So my Lento is in my 29 Bridges bag. And again, this is a deep, deep, deep dive stash. I am using Yowza that I purchased many, many moons ago that I actually had knit a full other cardigan out of and didn't like the cardigan, and so I frogged the whole thing and wet the yarn and floofed it back out and skeined it back up, and now it's wound back up into cakes and it's going into a whole nother project. And I am holding it double with Cumulus by Fiber Spates in this beautiful plum color. I need to pick up another 2 skeins of this before I finish. But here I am so far. And I am loving the color. Now, I did not use the alpaca on the neck. I know in this camera it's looking very discolored to the rest of the body, but in real life you really can't tell the difference. But I was afraid that if the collar was too close up that the fuzz might irritate me. But I am done with the increases. I have joined back up for the body. and I am a few inches down. This has been just such a quick and fun knit. I love how this is feeling. It is super soft. It is knit on size 10 needles, US. Yes, 10 needles, 6mm. Again, I'm using my signatures with their beautiful stiletto tips. So I have my point protectors on it. This is definitely a beginner-friendly pattern. It's simple stockinette with raglan increases. Nothing difficult. If you don't want to hold two skeins together, you can obviously forego the fluff and just use a DK weight or a heavier DK weight yarn. The pattern is, well, it's Lento. I already said that. So it's Lento, and the designer is Johanna Helen, and it is an $8.50 pattern on Ravelry. This pattern came out in 2021 and has 4,200 projects to it. So I know a number of folks have knit this pattern. There is some short row shaping in the back just so that the neck comes up a little higher and the front comes down a little lower. But other than that, I think this is a wonderful beginning pattern. The pattern directions are clear, concise, easy to follow. I think anybody, even a beginner knitter, would be able to knit this up with no issues whatsoever. I am hoping, I know I say this all the time, I am hoping to have this done soon because winter is almost over here in Maryland, and I would like to wear this at least once before winter goes away for good. Well, folks, that is a wrap up. We have come to the end of my whips. I forgot to bring down my acquisition. It was this month's, what am I trying to say? It was this month's Freckled Whimsy Club of the Month. It was, I believe it was, I don't know where I put it, but I believe it's the last of her second series of the Wednesday Club, which next month I will be getting the next installment of the Christmas Club because she allowed us to switch. So I will share that skein in my next episode, assuming I find it. I have been doing some playing around in the dye pots, but the skeins are up and drying right now, so I cannot share those with you. Hopefully, I will have some new colorways to share in the next episode as I get ready for a fiber festival that is happening at the end of April. So without further ado, I hope I have given you a little time to escape from the real world. I hope you have had plenty of time to make some progress on whatever magic your hands have been doing while you have been listening to me babble on now. I hope you are all in a better mind frame after this. I hope we can, I don't even know what to say. I feel like I don't know how to end this episode. I guess I will just say, I hope you are all doing well. I hope you are finding lots and lots of enjoyment in whatever crafty adventures you are doing. I hope that you are taking care of yourselves and your loved ones, and that you are taking time to relax and get away from the craziness that is going on in our world today. Wishing you all the best. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you again in 2 weeks. Ciao, ciao. Love you all. Thanks for joining me. Bye.